What are you going to do with those pies, boys?
Hello, cadets, and welcome to the Burn It Down briefing room. I had to say that. I'm sorry. Our guest today has his own show on social media called Burn It Down, and we love to get him on the show, even though he's not a big guy for monster movies, for training films. We try to get him on at least once a season. So, but first off, let me bring up Major Millie Hazzard, my assistant.
I'm here. I'm reporting for duty. The cadets are coming in. And, of course, it's Burn It Down. It's a crossover show on Cosmos Creative Television.
It rolls off the tongue. Burn It Down briefing room.
Burn It Down briefing room. We're going to burn down some big monsters. And there's some big monsters in this training film. Oh, I do see that we have our decapitated Diane Coll issued.
It's not Diane Coll. It's a gnome. It's a decapitated gnome. I would never decapitate Diane Marie Coll.
Diane Coll issued because she gifted it, and I have a polar bear one. I have a beautiful polar bear.
Yes, you do, which we can't see because you're by Mothra.
Is that well? Mothra is a friend of all children, so she needs to always be lauded and approved of. But
Gamera is a friend of all children.
I'm sorry. You know what?
And there is an episode of Gamera somewhere out there in cyberspace.
Mothra is also friendly.
Hope to get it back someday.
Mothra is also an ally, and she's also a friend, and we like Mothra. Everybody loves
Mothra. Stands for sacrifice.
Yeah.
If Mothra was to play a baseball game, she'd be the sacrifice.
Of course. And, of course, the question on everyone's mind is there peach tea in there, and will there be noises?
Yes, well, and I just made a couple. There is peach tea in there, and yes, I made a couple. Is my white T-shirt showing? I'm sorry. I wear 2 T-shirts because I'm trying to hide my man boobs. Anyway, we talked about that a couple weeks ago.
Let's not talk about that right now because we have Tom Cheshire in the green room, and I think we should bring
him. And again, this training film is probably the most bizarre idea I ever came up with to do this training film. It's very risque. But as one of the stars, littlenellcampbell, said, you really, when you look at it, it's all, you really don't see any real sex in the movie. It's just all implied. So, but yes, it is a training film about transsexual Transylvanians. And Tom Cheshire knows it well enough that he said he was going to come on the show and follow along with us. So let's go ahead and bring him up. Mr. Tom Cheshire.
Let's get creepy and beautiful. Hello, Major. Hello, General. Thank you for having me. I'm always honored to be a guest on your show.
Well, last time we had you on, we did Plan 9 from Outer Space, and that was a lot of fun.
That was a lot of fun, yes. I certainly am more familiar with this movie that we're going to get into, but I loved being on your show, and I love all the work that you put into it. And I just love hearing your voice. So I love hearing you describe these movies.
Well, okay. And hopefully I won't disappoint you this show.
You haven't yet. We've done
we'll be able to share some things in this. There was a lot of continuity gaps in this film that a lot of people don't realize. And we're going to try to point a couple of those out. Even though we're not showing clips, we're showing, slides.
Right.
I'll try to point those out. So when you do watch the movie, you can see it.
Yes. And I General, you have not disappointed me yet. I'd say you're batting 1,000 in my book when it comes to describing these beautiful, awesome, creepy cult movies, you know. So I'm such a big fan of what you and Major are doing, and I appreciate it. And also, yeah, let's burn it down with it. You know, it's a beautiful collab. It's a beautiful it's a monster mashup.
Sorry about that.
It's a monster mashup. I love that.
Well,
and we also have it's a triple Cheshire feature, because we had Rory on Burn It Down, and then we're having this one, and then we're having another one. So we're getting 3 times the charm with
I love it.
Mr. Cheshire.
Absolutely.
Right. You will be on It's Casual next Tuesday, I know. For a fact.
So humbled always. It's luck. I'm very lucky and in good company, in fantastic company. Thank you.
Well, I think it's Tom Cheshire Appreciation Week, because Rory actually painted you on painting with Rory last night. He painted
I saw that. Yes, I saw that. I'm such, you know, I think, you know, I like to have people think I'm all rock and roll. I was asleep by 8:30 last night, so I'll be watching the replay of you painting me. I saw it, parts of it.
Well,
today.
Rory.
Well, yeah. So listen, tell Rory, tell my friend Rory, who sometimes is your handler, much love and respect.
We're good friends. We're like that. That's me right on top right there.
Yes, he's been known to deliver you some cupcakes on a Saturday morning.
How do you know that? Anyway, we won't talk about that. Anyway, generals just don't. They're not supposed to eat cupcakes. But anyway, so this film has an incredible cast.
A fantastic cast.
It started the career of Tim Curry. Susan Sarandon. It also has Barry Bostwick, who was a big Broadway star at the time. Unfortunately, this movie kind of stereotyped him, and he had a hard time getting work after this movie. Littlenellcampbell opened a nightclub in New York after this movie came out. Richard O'Brien, who wrote this movie and the songs therein, he is still performing in London. And he's doing shows. He's a powerhouse. He's been in a lot of stuff.
Right.
So
and a little guy who became this larger than life character named after a plate of food by the name of Meatloaf.
Yes, correct. Meatloaf was the original Eddie and Dr. Scott. He played both characters in the play, and they had him come in and play Eddie in this movie.
Yeah,
one of the continuity gaffes with Eddie, there was a couple of them. One was he had rings on his fingers, and the number of rings on his fingers changes with each scene. I
love that.
And when he goes down on top of Little Nell in the dance number, the back suspenders pop off of his pants and magically reattach themselves by the next shot. So
that's amazing.
Something to look forward to. Okay, so let's go ahead and start our timeline for the movie. It is a 20th Century Fox picture. 20th Century Fox back in the 70s knew what to buy. I mean, they got Star Wars, they got this. I mean, they knew what they knew what was going to be a cult classic. And in the beginning, we get the Lips and Teeth that sing the song science fiction double feature. It's Richard O'Brien singing, but it's Patriciaquinn who plays Magenta, whose mouth is moving here. Now, this film became an overnight sensation because a group of kids in New York decided to start yelling at the screen. They made their own lines up for the movie to yell at the screen. And this went all over the country. For midnight movie, kids would say these lines at the movie theater. They would yell at the screen. So here's the wedding at the beginning of the movie. I think it's Betty and Frank. They're friends of Brad Majors and Janet Weiss. Now, all of these people in this scene are in the Transylvanian scenes later. They played Transylvanians, and you'll see at the church there, Richard O'Brien and Patriciaquinn, who plays Magenta, doing a kind of a American Gothic thing as the parents of the bride. And inside the church is Little Nell dressed as another like Southern character. And so Brad is giving his congratulations to the groom. And Betty throws the bouquet. Janet catches it, he says to Brad, "Hey, you might be next, buddy." And the car says, "Wait till tonight." She got hers. Now he'll get his. And then we start this song. There you see Richard O'Brien over her shoulder there. Again, doing the American Gothic thing. Denton, that's where they are. The Home of Happiness. A musical number. Damn It, Janet is the name of the song. And he proposes to Janet. He's got the ring in his pocket and is ready to go. Now, he's wearing a kind of a Scottish plaid tie and cummerbund to a wedding. Interesting choice. And Susan Sarandon, of course, would go on to do Thelma and Louise and a zillion other movies.
She was so good in this, though.
She was. And Barry
fantastic.
Bostwick is an awesome singer. He's a really good singer. He was the original Danny Zuko in Grease on Broadway.
Oh, I did not know that. Okay, interesting.
And Adrian Barbeau was the original Rizzo.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So there's Littlenellcampbell there as the other character down on the bottom.
Yeah.
And they do their kiss, and we get the narrator. Or actually, the next slide is the three Riff Raff, Magenta, and Columbia in their alter egos as the family of the bride. And now she's Miss Frank Hapshatz. There they are.
Yeah.
I had to show a close-up picture of them in their other characters.
I love that picture.
And this is Charles Gray. He's an actor that's been in a zillion English-British films. He played Blofeld in the James Bond movie. Actually, he's been in 2 James Bond movies. He plays an agent in You Only Live Twice, and then in Diamonds Are Forever, he plays Blofeld.
Okay.
And 3 years later, he's the narrator here. But he's done a lot of films, and he's looking at the case book. He is a criminologist, they say. They call him a criminologist. And he's telling the story. He's the narrator. I would like, if I may, to take you all on a rather strange journey.
Definitely. Yep.
That's very accurate, General. Very accurate. You could go into impersonations.
Spot on, General.
I actually played him when I was a kid at Rocky Horror Picture Show, and Dr. Scott, and Eddie. Sometimes.
Gracious. Oh my goodness gracious!
Wow.
I had a wild childhood.
Well, I was going to ask, did you and the Major, did you guys see it a bunch in your adolescent years or in your 20s?
Yes, when I was in high school.
Definitely.
We all snuck out.
Yeah, they brought it into the theater. We
told our parents we were going to go see a midnight movie, and we didn't tell them we were going to see Rocky Horror Picture Show. That's how it always goes down.
Same here. Same here. And I lucked out and saw it, in the Village a few times, which was very cool. But there was always part of me, the back of me, that wished I lived in like small Midtown America and was able to go rebel and see it like on a Friday night at midnight or Saturday night at midnight.
That's exactly that. That's exactly
St. Louis, Missouri, or something. Just to see that reaction. Because it really did. I mean, it's still people still there's theaters still all over the country that still show it. At midnight.
I don't know if they have shadowcasts still that perform along with the film. I was part of shadowcasts. I would take my costumes and put them at a friend's house.
Amazing.
And we would drive over to Gainesville, nearby Gainesville, to do the midnight movies. And we get into costume, and again, sometimes I would play the narrator. Sometimes I would play Eddie and Dr. Scott.
I love it. Absolutely love it.
So they're driving at night. They're on their way to see a friend, Dr. Scott, and he gets a flat tire. Brad.
It's always how it goes in these movies. There's always a flat tire.
That's right. Always a flat tire.
Dun, dun, dun.
You gotta just always be prepared. It's raining, and it's always night.
It's raining and thundering and lightning, and they're singing a song.
I mean, I think Tim Curry had the same scenario happen in like 7 other movies.
Yes. I think that happened in Clue.
Oh, definitely, yes.
Ending A.
So many.
Do you guys remember that Clue when Tim Curry played the butler?
Actually, one of my favorite movies ever. I absolutely loved Clue.
3 different endings.
Absolutely.
So good.
And he was in
I'm getting there. I'm getting there.
So good.
I'm not shouting. Okay, I'm shouting. He was wonderful in that. And Riff Raff sings a part of the song. One of the things that I was lucky enough to do, I was in London in 2002. I got to see him play the child catcher in Chitty Chitty Bang Bang in Oxford Circle.
That's amazing. I mean,
He
talk about one
was
of the greatest iconic characters ever is the child catcher.
Yes, and he got to play it. Richard O'Brien did, and Brian Blessed, who's this big, he's the Hawkman in Flash Gordon. Major Hazzard is a huge fan of Flash Gordon, the movie.
I have a little bit of a crush on him, just a little bit of him. It's okay. Don't worry about it.
I love Flash Gordon. So
Brian Blessed was the king of the Hawkmen, and Richard O'Brien was actually in that film too. With he was doing the scenes with Timothy Dalton, the James Bond guy. So anyway, so they make it to the castle, and Riff Raff meets him at the front door. Again, Richard O'Brien, the guy that wrote all of this, gets to play Riff Raff, and he's fantastic in it. He's really good, very creepy. Great voice.
Fantastic.
And we move into the Time Warp, which is the song that starts the party going. It's astounding.
Oh, it's so
Time
good.
is fleeting.
And the soundtrack's aged well. I've heard some of those songs not too long ago, and they're proper rock and roll, like perfectly campy rock and roll musicals that could have been written by the guy when John Waters did Hair. I mean, any of those things could have fit in there. They're fantastic.
Yeah,
and I'll tell you, I've listened to some of the cast albums, and it just doesn't do it for me like this movie soundtrack does.
Right.
That's the cast for me.
Yeah, I agree.
So Janet and Brad realize they've stumbled into a kind of a crazy situation here. And the narrator narrates along. It's just a jump to the left, and then a step to the right, with your hands on your hips. You bring your knees in tight. And then we get Magenta and Columbia do their respective parts in the song. Well secluded, I see all.
It's so good.
And Little Nell was, again, she was this little 19-year-old who was making a name for herself kind of in the punk scene at the time. And the early punk scene, and she ended up getting cast in it.
Yeah, before they even knew what it was, for sure. I mean, later on, it all went together, like people performing in bathhouses, cabaret, punk, and it all went hand in hand.
And when O'Brien saw that she could tap dance, he wrote in a tap dance section for this song for her.
I love it.
They filmed it. Let's do the time warp again. So they're kind of backing away, and the foot, the heel is coming down in the elevator, and Janet looks over and she sees Dr. Frankenfurter.
Amazing.
How do I? So you've met my faithful handyman. With that afro kind of hair, that very curly giant lion's mane. And a friend of mine used to play this in The Shadow. He used to love Frankenfurter, and he used to play this and he was good.
Yeah, he was. I can't. You're talking about casting. I can't picture anyone else doing it than him. He's, I mean, absolutely perfect, and it's like he was born to do that.
Mm-hmm. So he whips off his cape, and underneath, it's Victoria's Secret time.
Yes.
And now they really realize that they've stumbled into something, bizarre. Let me show you around and maybe play you a sound. You look like you both pretty groovy.
Yeah.
So, yeah, and that's the main plateau right there. That's that they always show in the posters and stuff. Him sitting on his throne and the others around him.
I love it.
Hunting lodge for rich weirdos.
Yeah. Yeah.
That was one of Brad's lines.
That's great.
Gosh, I'm trying to think of stuff that Patriciaquinn did after this. She did a lot of stuff. The one that comes to my mind is she plays the wife of the headmaster who has sex in front of the class in Monty Python's The Meaning of Life.
Okay, yeah.
She just kind of lays there. And they're talking about their week and what's going to happen later, and the kids are just... They are concerned. As well they should be.
They know they stopped at the wrong place. The car broke down to the wrong spot.
Come up to the lab and see what's on the slab. So yeah, they're all going to go upstairs to his Frankenfurter's laboratory now. They're there on the night where he's actually going to create his creature, his creation. And they start taking their clothes off.
That's right.
This would be a red flag that would send you to the front door right away. In my book, anyway. I mean, the minute this girl's taking your pants down, it's time to go. Look, you know what? We'll call AAA some other way. We'll go to some other house.
Right.
And we see that Barrybostwick has the biggest package in this group. The man is a horse, for crying out loud.
I think he was stuffing.
Major Hazzard backed up for that one.
It was stuffing. That's stuffing. That's not the real thing. I'm very certain about that. Very
So funny.
Poor Hollywood.
You almost made me spit up. That's rare. Usually it's the other way around.
Hysterical.
So also in this scene, Frankie has these rubber gloves that he's playing with, and the continuity is horrific with these things. He snaps them and they fold back, and then they're already all the way up his arms again, and they're folded down again. So watch the gloves in this scene. That's not packaging. That's the package. Sorry.
There's a cucumber in there, just like Spinal Tap, okay? It's just a cucumber. It's okay.
If we could get Barry Bostwick on the show, he would tell you. No, that's just me. Frankenfurter's trying to be charming. Enchanté. You have any tattoos? And yeah, those rubber gloves. Pink rubber gloves.
Amazing.
And they're all watching from an upper level there. It's kind of around. And yeah, this is another one that they show on a lot of the promo for this film. They take off the red sheet, and there's a monster in the tank. Which, by the way, he puts different colored fluids in there, and it turns into a rainbow tank. So they were definitely doing their thing for LGBTQ in the 1975. This film came out in 1975.
Yeah. So it's so cool.
So yeah. I don't know what to say here. He's giving orders to Riff Raff. Riff Raff's doing his thing. He's wheeling down that thing that comes down from the roof, which is typical in Frankenstein movies. That thing. And we're about to see Rocky here, who's the creature, the creation. There he is putting the liquid in there, and you can see the skeleton through the bandages. Peter Hinwood is the name of the actor that plays Rocky in this. He only did like 2 other movies. For some reason, I guess he just didn't like the business or something. And but he's good in this. You know, he plays an interesting character, and his musical voice is quite amazing. He certainly could have had a bigger career if he had chosen to.
Yeah, everyone who's singing in the movie is who's singing on the record, right?
I believe so. Yeah, I believe it's all their voices. He's the one that I'm not sure about. But again, since everybody else is singing for themselves,
yeah, I mean, I imagine
why not?
They didn't have the biggest budget, so they probably did everything as whatever was the easiest way to go. Yeah, you're playing this role, you're singing it. I could imagine, it's pretty wild.
So yeah, they just finished The Sword of Damocles. That was a song, and then now he's already started into In Just 7 Days I Can Make You a Man. And the deep freeze alarm goes off, and out comes Eddie.
Yeah.
And before he was a bat out of hell, this was Meatloaf.
That's right.
And Little Nell actually dated him at this time.
Oh, in real life?
Yes. They were an item for while this was going on.
Well, I think, I was going to say, at some point you're going to see a saxophone, but I don't think he played saxophone. But we all knew that he had the power of having like a Pavarotti-esque voice. I mean, it was this huge physical man. What a set of pipes he had.
And when I did the shadow,
every performance he would go until he sometimes passed out.
Totally.
I mean, they would revive him. He would continue the show. They would revive him.
There were several times in the 70s they thought he had a heart attack on stage, that he would leave the show in an ambulance. That is correct.
Yes.
Wow. And there's the love hate.
And there's the rings.
Yeah, he's supposed to have a ring on his pinky too, but it disappears a lot. Anyway, that's a stuntman actually on the motorcycle. But when he did his saxophone solo, and I was doing the shadow cast, Eddie, I had a kazoo hooked up to my friend's saxophone, and I would play it on the kazoo.
That's very cool.
And my friend who was playing Dr. Frankenfurter, he was a sax player.
Oh wow!
So he would loan me his saxophone.
Saxophone doing a kazoo solo. I get it.
Yeah, man. So Frankie is not happy about Eddie popping out of the freezer. He takes a pickaxe and chops him up again. And you can see there's a scar on his head. He's taken half of his brain out and given it to Rocky.
Right.
So he split the brain between them. One for the Volts. And they pretty much treat this murder as they just kind of all blow it off, slough it right off. We go right into the reprise of Just 7 Days I Can Make You a Man.
That's right.
And Frank jumps on Rocky the minute the curtain closes to their boudoir. And we get the narrator again. And we find out that Riff Raff and Magenta and Columbia are watching everybody on monitors. So some voyeurism thrown in there as well. Riff Raff teases the monster with candles and fire. And Frankie fools Janet into believing he's Brad. And then he fools Brad into believing he's Janet. And he has sex with both of them. Hope he doesn't have any transmissible diseases. And then after Susan Sarandon, after Janet sees on the video there that he's had sex with Brad, she just decides to go ahead and do it with Rocky.
Mm-hmm.
So this is where we get touch me. Susan's big song in the movie.
Yeah, there you go.
And Magenta and Columbia are watching from their room. And there's a little tableau at the end where they're all saying, "Creature of the night." And then Brad comes out and with Dr. Frankenfurter, and they see that Dr. Scott is waiting out in front of the castle, and he knows Dr. Scott, and that puts Frankenfurter on edge. He's, "Oh, you know Dr. Scott, do you?" And he pushes him around a little bit, thinking that he's spying on them. And Dr. Scott is in the Zen room, so they pull out the giant electromagnet and wheel his ass right on upstairs to the castle. Triple contact electromagnet. He goes upstairs. He goes through Magenta and Columbia's room and crashes through the wall.
Yes.
Now, Dr. Scott is played by Jonathan Adams, who was also a very prolific actor in England until his death in 2005. So they find out that Janet is with Rocky, and that's a surprise to everybody. Janet,
Mhm.
Dr. Scott, Rocky. Ooh. Brad, Janet, Dr. Scott. Ooh. Magenta says, "Dinner is prepared." And the line you yelled at the screen was, "And I helped."
That's right.
And they have the dinner scene where Frankenfurter cuts meat for the entire crew there. They sing a little happy birthday for Rocky. And then Dr. Scott talks about Eddie. That's why he says he's there. He's there looking for Eddie. And we get when Eddie said he didn't like his teddy, you knew he was a no good kid. But when he threatened your life with a switchblade knife, what a guy, made you cry. And I did. And then we see the letter from Eddie. "I'm out of my head. Oh, hurry, or I may be dead. He mustn't carry out his evil deeds. Love, Eddie." This dead spelled D-E-D.
Yep.
Or head spelled H-E-D. Dead is actually spelled right there.
Someone wrote meatloaf sweats for dinner. Yeah, I'm sure he did.
So Rocky and Janet are still kind of snuggling and cuddling, and Frankenfurter doesn't like that. He decides to pull the tablecloth off the table and show them that Eddie is underneath.
Yeah.
Dead Eddie. Which is a big shock to everybody. And we got into You Better Wise Up, Janet Weiss. That song.
That's a good one.
And they all end up back in the lab. And Frankenfurter does he's got a machine there that sticks them to the floor where they can't move. Even Brad can't get out of his socks. My shoes, my wheels. And the rest of the crew comes in to see what's going on. And then he's got a Medusa machine that can turn you into a statue. But this is after Dr. Scott explains that they are aliens from another planet, and they're planning to go back to that planet very soon. But before that, Brad is turned into a statue.
Yeah.
And okay, you could say that this is artistic license here, but that's pretty much the way it probably is. Major Hazzard.
It's all Hollywood. It's smoke and mirrors, people.
Smoke and mirrors. It's all tricks of the trade.
It's not a fake pee-pee like Mark Wahlberg had in what was that movie?
Boogie Nights.
Boogie Nights. Yeah, he had a fake schlong.
Great movie. Great movie. Paul Thomas Anderson. Excellent movie.
Yes.
I'm pretty sure when they were creating this, behind the scenes, the guy was saying, bigger, bigger, go bigger, the actor.
What have you got against Barry Bostwick now? Come on. Just let the man have his due.
I'm sure he's a lovely man. I'm sure he's lovely.
So Dr. Scott and Janet also get turned into statues. Gives a little nod to Magenta, and it's done.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking they did body cats on all these people to get these statues done.
Totally.
But unfortunately, even his own crew, Columbia, starts to turn against him. He turns her into a statue. And he's very upset with Rocky. So he turns him into a statue.
Yeah.
Hi, everyone. Hi, MM.
Hi, MM. Nice to see you.
Very good to have you here.
Yeah.
And they're weary. They want to go back to transsexual and the space in Transylvania. The galaxy of Transylvania. It's a planet transsexual. They want to go back. And he's like, well, we're going to do the floor show first. And we get back to the narrator. And what of the floor show? My favorite speech of his is from Diamonds Are Forever, actually. I do so love our visits, however financially painful they may be, Mr. Bond.
He does have such a cool voice.
He does. He plays Mycroft Holmes, too, in one of those Sherlock Holmes films. Which is, of course, the smarter brother. Okay, so we got the floor show. There's Rocky doing his thing after Columbia gets her bit. We're actually zooming through this timeline pretty fast.
Yeah, it's not that. It's not. It goes fast when you watch it.
Well, it's because most of the song is movie. Most of the movie is songs.
You figure. Almost half the movie is
half the movie is songs. I should have taken that into consideration.
4-minute songs. Yeah, so.
Alon Long, Cadet Alon Long is here. I'll give you a salute and MM a salute for being here.
Alana, if it comes down to it, we could just talk about how everyone, if we really thought people were body casted and if it was their real bodies underneath there.
Old news, we've done it. Barry Bostwick, there he is. This is probably the scene that he probably regrets the most.
Yeah, I don't think anyone got paid a lot to do this movie. So
no.
I really hope they enjoyed it.
Again, the movie Star Wars was made for $8 million. So
that's right.
20th Century Fox got a great deal on that.
Mm-hmm.
And Susan Sarandon has never been sexier than doing this number right here.
Love her. Yes, she's so good here.
Not even touch me. So then we have the RKO radio picture thing going on with the tower at the back, and the spotlight is on Frankenfurter, of course.
Yeah.
Now, RKO Pictures had gone out of business by this time, so it was public domain. So Richard O'Brien knew he could use it. He could use it as as part of this show and movie.
Right.
And of course, RKO is famous for King Kong and some other lesser known training films. And he jumps in the pool, and they jump in the pool, and it turns into a pool orgy. But they're fully clothed. Columbia keeps popping out of her outfit, but
right.
Other than that.
Yeah, and you were saying this. It's like there's a lot of things that are alluded to, but most of it,
right?
For back then, it would be considered, risque for you as a teenager or as a young teenager and adolescent to go see whatever. But now you look at it, it's so clean.
It's
a Walt Disney movie.
It's not that bad, when you think about it. And again, in an interview recently, Little Nell said that basically the same thing. When you look at it today, she showed her granddaughter the film.
Yeah, it's a great movie. It's a great musical. It's a great story.
But what's ironic about that is the censorship in England and the UK at the time, like Hammer films, the gory, bloody Hammer films, those got an X rating because of the blood and the gore. But nudity was fine. Nudity was okay. Not a problem.
Midnight Cowboy, which is one of my favorite movies, was considered the first X-rated movie, you know. And you look at that movie now, that was considered the first X-rated movie, and you look at it and you're like, all right, two dudes who loved each other, and one of them thought about being a rent boy. It's like, really, you know, it's more than anything, just conversation. You know, I'm walking over here. You know, it's just good.
I want to go to Florida. I want to go to Florida.
You're talking about Rizzo, exactly.
That actually for real happened. That guy, the taxi driver that almost did hit him, basically.
Yeah. Was true story.
He got through the barricades and drove onto set, not realizing he was driving onto a movie set.
Oh my goodness.
Hoffman went with it, and it's one of the greatest, you know, clips from a movie ever. Hey, I'm walking here. So good.
Yeah, and
on the hood.
And I remember hearing about it being X-rated, and I was like, "Well, I don't understand that at all." You know, I mean, because we have our
I didn't know it was X-rated.
We have our visions or our views of what X-rated should be. You know, and I think, you know, I'm sure it changed after that. You know, like they were probably like, "Oh yeah, I don't know." And that the music to that is beautiful. I mean, that's a beautiful, you know, film as well.
Are you talking about the score from John Barry? Yeah, very beautiful.
Yes,
I think he got an Academy Award nod for that.
It sounds like a dream sequence. You know, the song Midnight Cowboy is a really beautiful instrumental number that just feels like it's going on this just gorgeous, you know, repetitive dream sequence. You know.
Well, and that's the thing. I mean, John Barry started out doing James Bond movie music.
Exactly.
He started out with the John Barry 5 and Dr. No. They gave him the whole score for From Russia with Love and Goldfinger and Thunderball from then on. And then he starts doing movies like Born Free and Peter O'Toole and Kate Hepburn. The Wind and the Lion. No, not The Wind and the Lion. The Lion in Winter. And he gets an Academy Award for that. He gets an Academy Award nomination for Midnight Cowboy. You know, I mean, just phenomenal work in the business. Wonderful scores.
Well, going back to this movie, the score is half the movie. The live performance of them singing the songs and the dance routines of you know these people in drag and stuff is half the movie. And then, but hearing it like years later, because I knew I was coming on, so I kind of was like flirting with, you know, some of these songs recently, and I put them on, you know, and I'm putting them on next to some of my favorite songs as a fanatic, as a fan myself, and I'm like, they sit well. But I'm a huge fan of Camp, you know, like I mentioned John Waters. I'm a huge John Waters fan. The Hairspray, you know, the musical, and then also years later, Hedwig and the Angry Inch, you know, that the music to that is wonderful, and basically all of it sounds like is really great 70s glam.
Yeah,
which is, if either you like it or you don't, but I mean, I'm a huge David Bowie fan, so I love it, you know, and even if it's over the top, it works, and it reminds you of maybe acting it out when you were 18 years old with your friend playing the kazoo solo. You know what I mean?
We were theater students, and we wanted to be the center of attention.
Yeah. You know. Well, General, I appreciate it, and not much has changed. You know, you're still doing it. I love it, and I appreciate it.
Well, again, this is a far stretch for the Big Monster Briefing Room, but it does deal with Transylvanians and space aliens, and so I allowed it.
Right. I saw Alana just mentioned she saw Hedwig on Broadway as well, and I loved the movie, and I saw it on Broadway as well, and I'm going to guess 2014 is when it came out, and I saw it in New York City, and loved it. And if it comes back, I'd see it again. I missed it. It was Neil Patrick Harris who was playing Hedwig the first run, And I saw the second person who did it, but he was phenomenal as well. And the songs like they've aged well, like in Rocky Horror, like like you singing a Meatloaf song, like when you and your friends are like singing, like "Let Me Sleep on It, Baby, Baby, Let Me." When you get out of your seat and you're singing along to these parts of the movie, and the parts that you played as a boy, as an adolescent. I mean, that's
today, bless my soul.
Yeah, and that's the hair. That's the hair on the arms, the braille that Renee and I, not your friend Renee on the other show, that Major Millie Havoc and I talk about it. We, and I mean we're fans of this stuff. You know what I'm saying? Say in general.
Yeah.
Yes, and speaking of Renee, she got to hang out with John Cameron Mitchell at a lot of house parties and had some interesting times with John Cameron Mitchell. She never actually got to see the movie, but he was hanging out in Athens there.
Oh, I love the movie, and I love him. I may have to have Renee. You might have to have your people. My people call your people, and I may have to have Renee on and talk to her about that. Just because, huge fan of John Cameron Mitchell. Love that, and he
was back in there. He was back there recently for the Chronic Town REM gig and everything. He went.
I heard about that. Yeah, I heard about that. Yeah, that sounded like a really special night. He's good friends with Michael Stipe. I do know that. And man, see, we're running some good talented circles. Everybody, we're doing all right.
Yeah. Oh yeah. There's a lot going on in that Atlanta, Athens scene over there. All the cool kids are over there. All the cool kids. I don't have time for it because I'm in my lab all the time and on expeditions. But
you really are. I mean, I lucked out. I lucked out when I came to Atlanta from New York. A while back. But I was in Gainesville, Florida, playing a show last weekend, and almost convinced your buddy, General. I almost convinced your buddy Rory to come to my show. I was going to have him.
He wanted to be there. He really did.
I was going to do a duet with me, but he was headlining an event. I get it. But I was
no. He was whipped from doing his job. He wanted to be there.
Unfortunately, what did John Lennon say? Life is what happens when you're making plans. Unfortunately, there's brutal things happening in between these other wonderful things that we do. Like work is my least favorite four-letter word these days.
He's hoping you come down. He's hoping you come down again. He's hoping you come down.
I will. But it's funny because I've met these cats. I met these just wonderful people. I was chatting with them, and they were talking about how and I didn't even know Miami was even on the radar, but they were like Atlanta, Miami, Florida, Gainesville, Florida, and Chattanooga, Tennessee. And I knew about Chattanooga, Tennessee, and they're like, it's these punk rock and roll kids who are just so hungry for all of it. They're like, they go to a show and it could be 4 people there and someone's performing, they get up and dance to support that person. And I'm like, oh, that's amazing. That's huge. Like just start dancing and supporting the person that's on stage. And I'm like, man, that's what we need everyone to do.
Exactly. Well said. I love that. That's totally what I into. Renee believes, and I don't talk about showbiz that much, but Renee's
Yonkers.
Yonkers.
Yeah. I don't talk about those things.
Major Millie sounds like she was just betting on a horse at Yonkers, if you know what I'm saying.
Tom is a cool cat.
A lot of horses in Yonkers. That's right, Tom. You know what I'm talking about.
Oh, I used to go with my Uncle Bobby when my mother and my father didn't know betting on horses at Aqueduct and Yonkers. It was crazy.
Oh,
we never came home a winner ever.
Oh, never! You never win, but you come home a winner just for having the experience. That's the winner.
You come home, you come home. They say well learned.
Yeah, you're learned. You go and do the paces.
So
I got your horse right here. His name is Paul Revere.
Are we going to get a group together to go literally midnight somewhere? I'm sure in Athens, Georgia. I know the Plaza still shows it a few times a year, and we got to go see Rocky Horror.
Let's go see it
if we could ever get that a reunion together for Athens, yeah, sure.
I know.
Let's look into that. Let's do it. Let's make it part of the experience.
Bob Ross, I'm talking to you. Let's make it happen.
Bob Ross, find out for us.
Bob Ross has a whole estate there. He has studios. We're gonna go in there and tape some live howitzers.
Yes.
We want to yell at the screen. Hi, I'm Brad Majors.
Yeah.
Asshole. And I'm Janet Weiss. Weiss. We want to yell at the screen. So there's Dr. Scott. He's actually got fishnets on, and they're singing the pool song. And that's when Riff Raff and Magenta come in, and they're dressed in their transsexual outfits.
Right.
And let the party and the sound rock on. We're going to take it till the night has gone, gone, gone. Rose tint my world, keep me safe from my trouble and pain. Frankenfurter, it's all over. Your mission is a failure. So, and there you go. Uh-oh, I'm in trouble.
Hey, Julie, how you doing?
I'm dressed in Mama's outfit. I'm in trouble.
Busted.
So, and ironically, his laser gun looks like a pitchfork. So we go back to that whole American Gothic thing.
It looks like something out of Flash Gordon, actually.
There you go. And she's got the Bride of Frankenstein hairdo.
Yeah.
So he sings, I'm going home. And the funny line that goes with this is when they turn the spotlight on, when Columbia turns the spotlight on, they say, ladies and gentlemen, Miss Judy Garland and the Shadow of Alfalfa.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which is perfect. It's spot on. And he thinks there's an audience out there. He's hallucinating. And yeah, it's over. They're going to kill him.
Right. Your time has come.
Mm-hmm. And you know, and Magenta is just so happy about it. She's just cool with it. Say goodbye to all this. Goodbye, all this. And hello to Oblivion. Hello, Oblivion. So he zaps him. He tries to get away. First, he zaps Columbia and kills her. Then he goes up the curtain and he gets killed, and the curtain falls down on him. And Rocky comes down, ooh, ooh, picks him up, and like King Kong, takes him up the tower. And Rocky is very strong, so the laser beams kind of bounce off of him.
Yeah.
So, like the Frankenstein monster, he's almost indestructible, I guess. And you know, he's shaking his fist, ooh, ooh. And finally the tower comes down, and that kills him. And I never realized the pool. They had the handbars there to go into the pool.
Yeah, so strange.
I'd never noticed that until just now when we saw this shot. They had handrails to help you get into.
That was shot in like in 1974, like a Holiday Inn in the West Village or something.
All right. So Dr. Scott's like, hey, you did what you had to do. You know, he killed Eddie. So he said, if you need to go, you better go now, because we're going to, you know, take the ship away, take the castle away, transmute it to outer space, to transsexual in Transylvania. And then they do a little time warp there on the stage. He's got the little banana hairdo. And the castle takes off.
Yeah.
A nice cheesy Doctor Who type low budget effect.
I love it.
And this shot, they start swirling, and they're on the ground. Brad and Janet and Dr. Scott, and Dr. Scott's out of his wheelchair. And then it turns into a globe of the Earth that the narrator stops. And then he gives his final speech about the human race, and we get the end credits with Dr. Frank, with Tim Curry, Susan Sarandon, Barry Bostwick. Yeah, and his huge package.
Legend. I mean, everyone's so good in it, though. It really is perfect.
They are wonderful. They do a wonderful job in this. Actually, it's a very well made, low budget, but it looks like $1 million film, training film. Peter Hinwood, Charles Gray,
That's his name, Charles Gray. Yep.
Yes.
So good. What a great voice. What a great speaking voice.
Yeah, and Meatloaf. Very good.
Wow.
So we've got a few minutes.
I'm gonna try. I'm gonna try to watch that movie this weekend.
Yeah.
Go back.
You know,
Well, what I love doing after we have these conversations, or after I watch your show, is and like when I do some of my shows, like 3 on the 1s and 2s.
You go find the movie. You go find the training film. Hey, Rocky Horror's on Hulu.
Well, it's like a book club. You talk about a book, and then you go back and you revisit things, you see things differently. Or when we do 3 on the 1s and 2s, you talk about a record, and then I go back and listen to that record. And now I'm listening to something that someone else mentioned that I never heard really before. So it's lovely to reestablish or rediscover things.
But like you say, it's really 10 times better when you see it, with a cast performing in front of the screen.
It's
with people yelling the lines out. Yeah.
You want it to be experiential, which is, you're watching it on the big screen, but you're also experiencing it with someone who might run by and rub their shoulder with you, and someone might try to scare you, or you're screaming at the screen. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. You feel like you're part of the experience. You're in the middle of it all. So
experiential.
It's much more exciting. It's much more entertaining. So yeah, there it is. So, I hope that by us saying that 5 minutes ago, that will actually set the ball rolling.
Me too.
So we can all get together in Athens and do that one weekend.
Because we have so much fun, and we have such a creative bunch of friends that we've met through these networks. Shout out CCTV and Major Millie and her friend Renee. And I mean, you General, like it. You know what's fun? Having fun. You know what's not fun? Not having fun. Like,
I love having fun.
Exactly. So
who doesn't love having fun?
It would be so cool to do that.
Yeah, totally agree.
I used to always love these back in the day to have these internet dating sites, and my friends and I would go on them to laugh because you'd see all these men would say interest, they'd say I like having fun, and we'd say, well, who doesn't like having fun? That doesn't
right. And are you talking about long walks?
He likes fine dining.
Yeah,
right. You talking about long walks on the beach, or do you rob banks on the weekends? Please, give me a little bit more information here.
A little bit more information, please. Thank you. Hilarious. Yeah, we're hoping to do some live in-person shows. Like Bob Ross has it all set up there. He's got an amphitheater outside. He's got indoor stuff. So it's all. He
really does. Shout out to Bob. He's got a beautiful setup there. I went and spent the night there, and he was an amazing host. Such a lovely time, man.
I'll drink to that.
Wonderful. So we'll be doing a lot of that, and I think it'll be really cool to have everyone in the same place, and we can have the big screen watch the films and have a stage.
And it's been cool. And it's been such a cool week. We had your buddy Rory on Burn It Down. I hear I'm going to be on It's Casual. There's all kinds of beautiful stuff. We're just intertwining with each other's lives and worlds. It's amazing.
It's amazing. And, we're going right into, if everyone should stick around, because it's No Icing with Drita. Mudcat's going to be there. Renee's going to be there.
Shout out to my friend Drita. I'm such a big fan of Drita and all the love. And her friend Sandy. I love all my friends that have friends.
Thank you, Julie.
Yeah, me too.
Yes.
Friends.
Hey, Julie. Yes. Love to everyone, man. Appreciate it. Thanks for having me on.
Thank you for coming on and doing Rocky Horror Picture Show with us. Thank you, Major Hazzard, for making it all run smoothly.
Let's do the time warp. Cheers, everyone. Thank you.
Everybody keep an eye out for those monsters.
Bye, everybody. Stick around for No Icing.